everyone. Welcome to be here. I'm here with Lyron, and he is the president and CEO of the Glimpse Group. Now, for those of you that don't know the Glimpse Group, it is an amazing platform for different AR and VR companies. It is kind of like for a company that's looking for innovation, a complete buffet of amazing technologies. And so I just want to welcome Lyron onto the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yep. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So again, there are how many companies are part
9 companies right now make the Glimpse Group.
9. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So 9 different products. So we're not going to be able to touch on all of them, although we have had multiple people from the Glimpse Group on the show, and we will continue to have them because you're always welcome here. This is a home for VR innovation, and you guys are welcome. So, but for now, let me just show you a little bit about what you guys are working on.
Humans have evolved to interact with information in 3 dimensions. Virtual reality is the next frontier for how people interact with and present information.
D6 can be a key tool in this whole move to moving the workspace to VR. That might sound like a highfalutin idea, but we roll the clock back less than a decade, and the notion that I'm going to work from home via the internet would be just as crazy. Working in VR allows more people to come together from disparate places and interact in a way that they can't interact via a Skype call or over the phone. D6 leverages this ability to do that, and it places the information that people are working on around them.
And VR allows us to move beyond the limitations of traditional flat information displays. By enabling you to interact with much more information in a given view, D6 allows users to connect dots and derive better insights more quickly and make connections that they might otherwise have missed. D6 VR is aiming to create the workplace of the future.
Okay, that is pretty awesome. Explain a little bit more about D6 and what they do. That's one of the 9 different innovative companies that are part of the Glimpse Group.
Yeah, so D6 uses the power of virtual reality to bring 3D visualization to anyone that wants to use that to analyze data. So D6 has 2 elements. One is the ability to take any data, whether it's an Excel file or a CSV file, bring it into virtual reality, and then display it, allowing you to see multiple levels of that data in one showing in a way that is very immersive to you. So you get the data much faster when you look at it in a D6 setting than you would on a 2D screen. The second element of D6 is called the Hyperdesk, which is what Andy, the GM, said in the video is the desktop of the future. So the workplace of the future, you're basically taking kind of your work environment, which usually has 2, 3, 4 screens, and put it in VR, and suddenly you have 18 screens. But not only that, you can come visit. So you can have someone, whether it's your client or your colleague that is kind of working remotely, come in, and the 2 of you can work together in that workspace, seeing the information, analyzing it, talking about it, and feeling like you're there. So it's an amazing, innovative solution.
Now, I think it has so many applications, especially today. Now, everyone knows that fintech loves data visualization. I mean, as you can imagine a stock trader being able to visually see stocks moving up and down and see trends in a visual way instead of just numbers on a ticker. But also imagine even in this COVID crisis world where you could look at a map of the globe, see spikes in transmissions, and then be able to make decisions about where over time the virus is flowing because you could see it happening in real time.
Exactly. And you can kind of plot it on the map, you can move it in it, you can actually go in and kind of into the map and see the data around you. It takes data to the next level.
Yeah, and you know, I have a T-shirt, nerd alert. It says data is the new bacon. Nerd alert. Because it is really so powerful. The applications and the use of data, that is what Facebook is. It's not about social media and you connecting with your family. It's about them knowing every detail of your life, and then having that information and then tailoring it to advertisers. So how the power of this data and then being able to see it in a visual way, which is why I'm a VR content creator, because I have a visual mind. It's extremely important.
Yeah, it's very powerful because kind of in the real world, you can only see data in 2, maybe 3 dimensions. D6, as the name says, allows you to see that data in 6 dimensions. So you can build layers on the data.
I was going to ask, why D6?
Because their original kind of plan had 6 data dimensions that you can see at the same time. But of course, that's not the limit. We can do way more.
That is pretty, okay, mind blown. And so this is one company. I don't know if we're going to have time. We're going to try to power through to all these other amazing innovative companies that you have. Again, if people want to find out more about the Glimpse Group and all of the companies that are part of this amazing group, which I'm sure are going to grow in the future, check out theglimpsegroup.com, and you can find out all the details about them and their service. Again, I think for advertising agencies, marketers, corporate innovation groups, instead of having to find one team for AR, one company for this, one company for that, just going to one place and then having a whole buffet of innovation is, I think, a great. So I'll go to the next thing.
Let's take a glimpse into the future of education. Developed by Pagoni VR, Chimera was used by Temple University last month for its business students. Chimera merges VR and 180-degree video to make unique hybrid environments, which enables realistic real-time interactions. Students at Temple University's Fox School of Business are now using Chimera on VR headsets to take virtual classes, like the FinTech, Blockchain, and Digital Disruption course. Looking around, students can discuss and interact with avatars labeled with their names, while the audio is designed to replicate an actual classroom. Fox School has made online learning a key part of its offering for years, and the latest edition of Chimera furthers the learning experience. While professors across the country try to adjust their courses to online formats, the collaboration between Temple University and Pagoni VR has been in the works for the past 18 months.
I love this. I love how Elena is the student in this in these videos, and she's awesome. She's so awesome.
That she is.
Okay, so education. Now we're switching topic from fintech, data visualization, which, by the way, could be used for education as well. So all these things are interchangeable, right?
Exactly, and that's one of the benefits of the Glimpse Group is when we work with a school, it's not just we're selling them one of these solutions and this is what we have, we can sell as many of those as you want. We actually understand what they're looking for and bring all of these together. So many of our school partners are actually using multiple solutions from multiple Glimpse subsidiaries to get the whole picture done together.
Again, if you want a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you can have it in one place. I like that. I think so specifically, tell us a little bit about what these guys are doing with education. What makes this different?
So how do you recreate the classroom experience when the students are not physically in the class? It's very true right now, kind of because of the COVID pandemic, but that's also true when you do online learning and your students are just not physically present at the university. How do you keep the same? So I teach entrepreneurship, and when I had to move from physical face-to-face classes to Zoom, I lost my class. There's no, the kind of, I just saw a bunch of pictures on my screen of hopefully cameras of students, and I couldn't get that feeling I'm talking in front of a class. When you saw in the video the solution Chimera that is created by our team at Pagoni, it's a hybrid of a 180 video where the professor is standing where he or she is comfortable teaching in front of the class. No VRs used. They are standing and they're talking and they're interacting with the students. And the students are in a classroom setting in VR where they can interact with each other. But not only that, that's the unique patent pending we have at Pagoni. They can interact with the professor in VR. So the professor is watching the students on the screen. He sees a classroom with all the students. They can raise their hands. They can ask questions. They can talk to him or her. And the students are feeling that they're part of the classroom. They have the virtual setting, and then they have the 180 where kind of they see the real professor teaching. Each student has their own video screen that allows them to see the presentation, write notes, and use that to interact with others as well. So it's a recreating the classroom in a way that does not require the students and the professor to be in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, and I feel like with distance learning and education that the virtual reality experience also adds a level of interactivity that is not possible in a traditional classroom. So if you want to study the rings of Saturn, you can literally be standing on the surface of Saturn, looking at the rings as you study them. You can talk about atoms and actually reconfigure the molecules in VR, while in the real world classroom, you can talk about it conceptually, but not actually experience it viscerally and physically. So I think that this is just scratching the surface of what is possible for education and the amount of learning that is going to be imprinted in students because they felt it, they experienced it, they actually learned it and will not forget it. I've mentioned this before, but I had because when we go to these VR conferences, you see amazing stuff. Like always, you go into the table and you put this on and check it out, and then your mind is blown because it's amazing stuff. But one of the experiences that I did was it was like the Wright brothers' first flight, and I was like looking around, and you see this kind of rickety old plane with force at the wings, and people, it looks like they're on a bike. I would not get on that thing, but they're flying it, and they're just about to fly, and they fly, and I'm like, wow, they're in the air. Okay, they're off, and they land. Like, whoa, it's like 100 yards. That's it. The first flight. Yeah. So I would never ever get the answer of like, oh, did the first flight go over the Atlantic or something stupid like that? Hell no. It went like just a couple of feet. But then I also learned that this one leap, this one step, this one innovation propelled flight for humans. So it could just be something that seems simple, and just one little leap can be a profound change in our society. So in hindsight, of course.
Yeah, and this is kind of where virtual reality comes in, because you can read about it and you'll get some of it, but not much. Yes. You can watch it in the video and get a little bit more because you get to see it, and but when you get to experience it and do it yourself, that's where real learning happens.
Yeah.
And that's true for kind of learning in K-12 schools. Mm-hmm. It's true for learning in higher education. Mm-hmm. And it is true for learning on the job in corporate training. And we've got different solutions using the same VR technology to enhance learning across all of these avenues.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Corporate training, corporate innovation. You when you think about training, you need to, even in this COVID society, let's say you need to train hand washing, scenario. You need to train hand washing to 1,000 new nurses. So you get some expert to show you exactly the proper use of hand washing 1,000 times. That doctor that could be actually treating people and saving people is instead like literally teaching one person after another, after another, after another. But with virtual reality, they could be in a headset. It tracks their movements. It tracks how long they actually wash their hands. It tracks every detail. And they would, and the training institution could get detailed data for each individual that they would never get from the traditional forms of training.
Yeah, it's a kind of, that's one of the powers of virtual reality. On top of simulating and allowing you to experience things for yourself and learn and train, it's the data. Because it's all digital, we can track anything and everything that the person is doing in VR and create analytics that allows us to really understand what the person knows, where they have deficiencies, and see their learning curve, and provide all those information to the people that are in charge of kind of making sure that they're getting all those learnings done.
Yeah. And then where do you see this moving in the future? Like, for example, I think that we're going to have AIs and great voice where we then say, hey, we ask for a lesson in something and it's served up. Or we're learning a language. I'm learning some language, and then when I pronounce the word wrong, it automatically corrects me so that I'm getting feedback and I'm in real time.
Yeah, and so AI, in my view, is going to come into play in virtual reality. Because right now, the way you're dealing with AI is through computer speakers or chatbots, and you don't feel immersed in your interaction with AI. Nobody feels like Siri is real because it's not a real thing. It's just a voice coming out of your phone. What if you were in VR?
Thank you to Siri, as if Siri is like, oh, it makes me feel so much better.
Imagine saying Siri. Imagine if Siri was real.
Yeah,
you were in VR,
like
and you have your language tutor sitting next to you and going with you to various spaces where you're doing. If you're trying a restaurant, you want to go and try and order in Spain in Spanish, you can do that kind of by immersing yourself in Spain, or you can go with your AI teacher into what looks like a Spanish restaurant, and you sit there with a menu and you order, and your tutor is teaching you, and there's actually no human involved. It's just you getting that experience without any travel.
I think a human should be a part. I'm not a fan and not a condoner of like AI only, because whoa, even the Amazon Alexa makes mistakes, big mistakes. So I think there has to be some part of human interaction, and that's where I think that this 360 education component could be really powerful. Like, I'm learning French from a French speaker in Paris and talking directly to them, getting lessons, getting that actual human feedback and interaction. And that is, I think a mix of that and AI is where the tool could be. So your French teacher who's maybe teaching 10 people all over the globe could say, okay, now we're going to do some AI lessons. Now you're supposed to read the word chair 12 times, but the AI is the one that's checking that you're saying it and correcting you and checking and correcting and checking and correcting. So the tedious and repetitive tasks are learned through AI, but the actual like nuance of the language, which like how do you learn comedy? I don't see a Siri teaching that.
No, that's kind of definitely kind of a mix of humans wherever they are, and AI augmenting them, and then the ability to take your class and go on virtual road trips whenever you need to be. That's the future of education.
Yeah, and I mean it's exciting. I think it just warms my heart to think that so many students are going. I did not have this growing up. I think the high-tech computer in my and I'm dating myself, was like Pong, Macintosh. It was like, wow, look at this thing. It's just a little box and it's bloop, 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 bloop. I got the frog. It's moving. That was high tech back when I was growing up. So imagine what kids nowadays are just like. They're in VR. They're traveling the world. It's like Magic School Bus in school. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
That's exactly it.
All right. So let's move on to the next and final. Is if I press the right button, I believe it's this one.
What we're going to do is we're going to do multiple sessions in VR. Each session is going to be 5 minutes of networking.
That's been tested in other areas of manufacturing, and that can be implemented immediately. But the part that we're bringing that's a little different would be this helmet, which is in its production phases.
My name's Josh Wilcox. Wait. Let's go over there.
We are happy that you came here to meet with us. We'd love to hear about what you have in mind.
So our product is the Sports Pod and the Sports Watch.
Yeah, we've been working on the technology for about 5 years now, and we've already used it on college athletes. So we know that the technology runs well and is efficient.
I am looking for a CMO position. Where do you work?
I think I need to go to Fordham University if that's the kind of learning that you get there. That is amazing.
Yeah, now this is kind of the next generation of learning where you can simulate environments that as a student you'll get to do in real life, but you can't bring into the classroom, and simulate them using technology in the classroom.
That is so cool. Tell me a little bit more.
So let's take networking.
Okay.
Both you and I have done a lot of networking, and we know how critical that is to anyone's development. How do you teach
I
networking?
find it fun. Personally, I don't want to, I love networking, but it's just meeting people and talking to people, and I like telling jokes, so I got to practice with people.
And how do you do it effectively? How do you go into a room full of strangers that you've never met before and find the people that you want to kind of do things with?
This is not a question, right? This is
it's a test.
Well, personally, I just kind of walk around and say hi, smile, and then nice people, they kind of gravitate, and that's how I do it.
It kind of happens a lot of time where you go to those events and you end up spending time with like 5 people, and probably the wrong 5 people out of the whole event. How do you move around in a polite way? How do you understand who's going to be someone that you need to spend more time with? And how do you teach that to 19-year-old students?
That's a good question. So personally, my answer is I don't look at it as like a trying to get, but as a trying to earn. And so for me, I just ask questions and try to learn. And then if I'm interested and learn, then I continue the conversation. If I'm not, then I will be away.
So I believe practice makes perfect. And the only way to really practice that is to use virtual reality. So what we did for the students is create an environment where they can go in and practice networking, practice negotiations, practice making investor pitches and presentations. So when they go out to the real world, they've got that confidence in themselves that I've done that. I went in that room. Yeah.
I've been in that boardroom.
Exactly. And it goes into your brain in a way that you feel comfortable and you perform better when it comes to it.
That is a really unique implementation of virtual reality that I've never, ever thought of. I love it.
Awesome.
And that's the beauty of this technology. There are going to be so many ways to use it that make the world a better place, that make it easier for students. We're kind of close to our time, and I just want to again thank you so much for joining us and yeah, explaining all of these wonderful technologies that you guys are working on. I want to talk about one of the things that I saw at early VR event, and this guy was doing this back when VR was before Oculus. So that's like 20 years ago. He was doing psychology and training, and he was a psychologist, and he was using virtual reality, and I'm talking about cathode ray tube size VR headset kind of weirdness, to simulate a plane experience for people that had fear of flying, and was able to monitor the heart rate and then train people to be calm about going through this experience over and over and over again in this safe environment that led into going into the real plane. And after people had practiced time and time again in virtual reality, they suddenly did not have a fear of flying in a real plane. And I remember thinking, wow, that is so powerful. And that repetition, that reinforcement of the proper behavior can lead to some kind of visceral learnings that really can't be taught.
No, virtual reality allows you to deal with all these phobias, and in a way that kind of, if you're a therapist and you're trying to treat someone, you can't take them on a plane over and over again. It's kind of not. Or if you're teaching with people that are afraid of spiders, what, you're going to kind of fill your room with spiders and have them crawl all over? And it's like, no, let's take that spider away. In VR, you can do that. You can control that. You can expose people to it. You can actually be the voice in their head, telling them that they can do it and they can deal with it, and get them used to it slowly and controlled way, and then you'll have those results. Virtual reality has that ability to recreate the world and allow people to experience different things, both positive things that they want to experience and things that they're afraid of that they need to be kind of exposed to until they get comfortable in that environment.
Exactly. All right. Well, I really want to thank you so much for sharing all these wonderful innovations. Again, for anyone who is interested in any kind of AR or VR innovations, there's 9 different companies ready to serve and ready to help and ready to innovate. So check out theglipsgroup.com. With that being said, you can see this show and many more at vrvideo.tv. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, check out vrvideo.tv. Thank you.
Thank you. And have a great day.